All right, this is the next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions, continuing our retro pay-per-view review series. This is going to be WCW Slamboree 1997. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Man, let's get into it. This was a lackluster card to say the least, but the main event kind of made up for some of the stuff that we were missing in the previous matches. So let's kick it off. May 18th, 1997, from Charlotte, North Carolina. 9,643 on hand for this. Another small arena, but trust me, all 9,600 were cheering their butts off in the main event. You had Tony Schiavone, Bobby Heenan, and Dusty Rhodes doing the commentary for this one. Mike Tenay actually chimed in on the opening match, as he does when guys such as the champion here,
Cruiserweight guys.
Yeah, especially Ultimo Dragon. Speaking of him, the opening match for the television title, he defends against Steven Regal. This was a weird match, man. I honestly didn't know what Sonny Ono was doing. He beat the hell out of William Regal on the outside, but then he would kick Ultimo Dragon.
Yeah, he kicked Ultimo Dragon. I forget what was going on with the storyline. I don't remember.
I know eventually he leaves him.
Right.
And
yeah,
Ultimo Dragon becomes a fan favorite.
Yeah. Maybe so that's probably what it was.
This was the start of it.
Yeah. I'm guessing. I really can't remember.
I mean, this is the way it came off to me. I mean, you see Ono kicks Regal, and then Ultimo Dragon comes out, and then a roundhouse kick from Ono. I mean, it's crazy. It's like he was almost trying to cost him the title.
Right.
Which in an event he did.
It was a good match, though.
Yes, it was.
Clash of styles. Dragon was always good. Regal was always a very 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 competent wrestler. I like Ultimo Dragon. I used to pick him in the I think it was I think the first time I played as him, I believe it was World Tour, WCW NWO World Tour for N64. I'm pretty sure he was in the first one.
Those were great games, man. Yeah. Oh man, I play hours playing those.
Remember AKI Man? I think it was AKI Man.
Yeah, and in the NWO World Tour, you had the weird faction. You had like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And all those. It was the Executioner.
Yeah.
It was weird. I started after a while. I just started, because you had 4 outfits for the guys. I would, the other 3 outfits, I would make other wrestlers, so it felt like you had more of a roster. But it was, we're getting off track here. Anyway, this match would have been more interesting if they did a submission match between the two, because both guys are submission specialists, and Regal actually applied the Regal stretch in order to win this match, and he wins the television title once again from the Ultimo Dragon. So who knows what's going on with Sonny Ono and Ultimo Dragon going forward. So our next match on the card was pretty much your whole women's division right here. It was Medusa versus Luna Vachon.
Yeah.
This was it.
You know what's funny? I completely forgot Luna Vachon was in WCW.
For a minute. Yeah.
She had a cup of coffee. I don't even think she was there a full year. I don't even think
she finished a cup of coffee.
I don't even think she was there a full year, because I seem to remember her coming back to WWF in '97 towards the end.
Well, yeah, because she's with Goldust.
Well, I didn't remember her there. And the women's division was garbage.
Seriously.
So I think Luna had cost Medusa the title in that women's championship tournament. So Medusa never won the WCW Women's Championship.
They had referred to her as former women's champion, but
right?
That's in regards to being in WWE, where she was former champion.
Right, the same belt that she threw in the garbage.
Exactly. So explain to me, Medusa, why it is that you signed with WCW for a worse lackluster women's roster than WWE had.
She just becomes a valet, once they shut down the division.
And that's exactly what she was the first time she was in WCW.
Right. More or less, yeah.
I mean, her highlight match
was not her fault.
Paulie Dangerous.
You can't blame her. They probably sold her a dream, and maybe they did have some plans, and there wasn't enough talent at that point. It's not like today where there's so many women that are trained to be wrestlers. It is what it is. Either way,
her only accomplishment really in WCW was winning the Cruiserweight title, and by that point, nobody was watching WCW.
No, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, she beat, I believe it was Evan Courageous. I could be wrong, but I believe she beat him for it. The one that she was valeting to the ring. Yeah. But in any way, Lee Marshall was actually doing some commentary for this match. Why, I have no idea. The match was short. They gave him 5 minutes, which is probably 4.5 more than they needed to. for this match. Luna went for the top rope splash on Medusa and missed. Medusa gets Luna into a German suplex and gets the pin on her. Match is over.
See ya.
So, I mean, unfortunately, like we just said, they sold her a dream. By this point, WWE is not confident enough to do a women's division just yet, based on what happened with Medusa. But eventually they do, and if she would have stayed there, I think she would have been an integral part of it. But it is what it is, what she did. So our next thing on the card was Mean Gene came out, and this was funny. I love this because in 1997, anytime you try to interview Savage, you know who's coming around, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Savage comes out. He sends Mean Gene to the back. Yeah, I got this, bro. Then he goes to the ring. Coming through the crowd, obviously, 1997 feud, Diamond Dallas Page. We've talked about this. We've categorized it as the best feud of '97, one of the best. What's funny is now during this encounter, Bischoff takes Savage to the back. Savage told the NWO to step aside, and he refers to Vincent as Virgil
instead of Vince.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that Diamond Dallas Page came out from the crowd, and he came out with the crutch, same crutch that Macho Man had used, and Macho Man took off running from a beating.
Well, then Savage headed to the ring, and then Page attacked him with that crutch, and then he laid out the NWO, but Norton was able to get him from behind. It's always the numbers game with the NWO. Yeah. When you think you got him, there's one more you missed, unfortunately. But good things are coming. And the one thing that helped Page was the Giant came out to help him.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, Giant. I'm NWO. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. I don't know what I am. I'm a Giant. But that was a good segment for the two. And like I said, one of the best feuds of 1997.
Hands down.
Our next match was Rey Mysterio versus Yuji Yasir. If I'm saying along wrong, my apologies. This is one of the one and off wrestlers that they brought into WCW. Once again, Mike Tenay comes down to do the commentary during this match. Of course, he's got Yuri's resume hands down, and of course Rey Mysterio's. The highlight of the match, Mysterio from the apron hits the Hurricanrana and the pin. Mysterio gets the win. It was a 15-minute match, but they did give you a cruiserweight highlight reel in this one, as they always do.
Yeah, it was fun.
Our next match was questionable as to why it was on the pay-per-view and why it was so short, considering we've already had this stuff happen prior to this pay-per-view. It was Glacier versus Mortis in a 2-minute squash. And it wasn't even a pinfall or submission. It was a disqualification.
Well,
reason why? Wrath comes down again. Ernest Miller shows up during the match, laying everybody out.
Yeah, they said he was a fan, though. They said, he's like, this is, wait a minute, is that Ernest Miller? I mean, I'm pretty sure I had seen him on WCW Worldwide, but I don't know if we had seen him on Nitro yet. But I remember seeing him.
Not yet. I believe this is where he makes his ultimate debut.
Right. Yeah. And there's a story behind this that Mortis told him backstage, "Oh, kick me for real, because if not, it's not gonna look believable." So he kicked the shit out of him.
Yes, he did. That roundhouse kick to the face.
Yeah, it was legit. Yeah.
Oh,
and it looked sharp. Mortis gets a bad rap, man. This guy was a great wrestler, man. It's just the timing of that.
They both do. Ref was good. I mean, once you get past Glacier, and the Dungeon of Doom is gone, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do with these guys? Because they didn't fit. They weren't like realistic characters.
No, it was Mortal Kombat over here.
Yeah, Bischoff had said that they had hoped to put them like in video games and stuff, but that maybe, it was just the wrong time. Maybe had they done it a couple years prior to that, which they probably would have fit more into like 94 or 95 WCW than 96, 97,
Yeah, where it's more real.
Yeah, but either way, squash match. Don't really understand the point of it, but I mean, Mortis was a great wrestler.
Yeah, he was. From Mortis to Canyon, hands down. We've talked about this. Very underrated. And Ernest Miller was too, because when they started giving him the gimmick of all of a sudden now he's James Brown, and somebody, I did love the catchphrase, "Somebody call my mama, I just whooped somebody's ass." It was good, but
I liked Ernest Miller. I was
I
like,
did too, and I was surprised that in WWE he was one and done. And this was
yeah,
way after the invasion. He just shows up in the Royal Rumble,
yeah.
and then that was it. I mean, he was very athletic in the ring. You know, his martial arts background. I mean, they could have done something with him, but in WCW, they don't do anything with anybody unless you're the Billionaires Club,
Mhm.
pretty much. I mean, it's unfortunate. So our next match was for the United States Championship. It was Dean Malenko defending the title against Jeff Jarrett. Both your boys in this one.
Broke 6,000 guitars, never drew a dime. When Jeff Jarrett came out, you get a rap piss on cotton.
There you go.
Two
And
guys
you
that
don't even
nobody,
like Malenko either,
no,
so
two guys that nobody cares about. And
it's
Malenko was a great
unfortunate for
technician.
Malenko, yes.
Right, he's a great technician. But you put him in there with Jeff Jarrett, who nobody cares about. Jarrett got booed out of the building. And
Seriously.
he was a member of the Horsemen. They're in Horseman country, Flair country. He's a member of the Four Horsemen, right, at this point. And he got booed out of the building.
And what doesn't make any sense in this match is during it, Steve McMichael comes out to grab Deborah.
Well, because Deborah
doesn't even really help Jarrett. He tells him, "Oh, he's got it," but then later on, what we see is something totally opposite. It's like Jarrett helped McMichael, but McMichael's not willing to help Jarrett here.
But storyline wise, what it was that McMichael didn't like him, and Jarrett was trying to kind of like fit in with the Four Horsemen. Remember, McMichael didn't want him in the Horsemen.
Yeah,
as if he should have any say because he doesn't even belong
exactly. He didn't even belong in the Horsemen.
Right, but that was the story. Was that McMichael had the issue with Jarrett? It wasn't Jarrett that had the issue with McMichael. That was,
and then of course Deborah escorting him down.
Right, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I remember something to that effect. That and again, two guys that don't belong there anyway are arguing. You don't belong. You don't belong. Bro, you both don't belong.
They're both lucky to be in there.
Seriously.
But at least Mongo, I've said this. At least Mongo was like the muscle, so it was understandable. Jarrett, I'm like, why is he there? Why is he there?
Jarrett was the mouthpiece, pretty much. That's it. He's a mouth. That's it.
He wasn't even good on the mic. He didn't fit in, man.
Ass Flair.
I guess they threw him in there. I guess they threw him in there because
they wanted to make him relevant.
This guy had left. Pillman was a Horseman before, and he had,
and that was another weird.
Right.
Fit.
No, but he fit it. But he fit in more. He fit in more
than Jarrett
and these two jabronis.
Yeah, Flair's last few picks for the Horsemen were questionable. I mean, before that, Roma. I mean, I didn't see Roma fitting into that. Benoit fit in. Benoit was a good choice.
Malenko.
I would have thought Malenko, yes.
He's a good technician, so it was like, okay, he's the wrestler of the group. Okay, fine.
But with Arn Anderson now not being able to wrestle, you needed a new enforcer, and that's where Mongo came in.
Right, yeah. So anyway.
So Malenko applied the Texas Cloverleaf, gets the submission on Jarrett, and keeps his title. Jarrett's now the loser of the night.
Thank God.
So won't be the last time though we'll see him tonight. Yeah. Our next match was actually a kind of whom I did like this match. It was a death match, meaning no disqualification, no countouts, no pins, submission only. And this was Chris Benoit versus Ming. And you can thank Kevin Sullivan for this one. Sullivan did this one. Now, Benoit toe-to-toe did hang with Ming during this match. This was a good match between the two of them. But what they did, Benoit, a woman constantly screaming at ringside. I was like, enough with this. Benoit makes one mistake in this match. When he goes for the flying headbutt, Ming caught him with the what do you call it?
Tongan death grip?
Yeah, there you go. But what's funny, let's back up a few minutes. Who shows up during the match was Jacqueline. For no reason. Because she's got her little thing going and she's another one that was there for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I remember her though. I remember her being there though.
Mm-hmm. She had more of an impact than Luna did.
Yeah,
but pretty soon Luna and Jacqueline are going to be gone.
Right.
If Bischoff was able to keep them, well, then you got some sort of a women's division, but it didn't happen. Woman walked towards her, and Jacqueline walked to the back, so that was over and done with. But once Ming got that Tongan death grip on Benoit, it was over. He didn't even tap out; he passed out, and Ming gets the victory there for the Faces of Fear. So that was a good one. Our next match was another questionable one of as to why, but in any event, it was the Steiner Brothers versus Conan and Hugh Morris from the Dungeon of Doom. Now, Dungeon of Doom's pretty much on their last leg at this point.
Yeah, I think Conan was actually a member of the Dungeon of Doom at this point, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, yeah. He's another one that I forgot that he was a part of Dungeon.
It was very short-lived.
Yeah.
They had quite a few guys running in and out of there,
Right.
but Conan looked like he was more fit for the NWO, which was right
Oh
around the
yeah,
corner.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Down the line. I like that song, man.
yeah, the music was good. Of course, now you see Scott Steiner now.
He's getting big. Yeah,
he's getting freaking huge. Yeah, don't give him a steroid test. God forbid, don't do that, because this didn't happen overnight. And all of a sudden, you look at the last few pay-per-views of Steiner, and he's just getting bigger in each one. This match was lackluster to me. The fans weren't into it. The first thing I'm doing is I know the Steiner Brothers are going to win this match. I mean, Hugh Morris goes gorilla press. I can't talk today. Gorilla press slams Scott Steiner and drops him wrong on the rope. So there's one botch. He's lucky he didn't mess up his whiplash. It was impressive, the gorilla press, but the execution was totally wrong. Morris went for a moonsault on Rick Steiner and missed. Go figure. Scott Steiner hits that Frankensteiner, which is oh so beautiful.
I used to worry he was going to hit his head, man. He was going to hit his own head when he was doing that on the mat. Yeah.
And I always get nervous when he did it to somebody, and we're like, guys, are they all right?
Yeah.
So after the match, Jimmy Hart's yelling that, he's aggravated. Bottom line, Conan attacks Hugh Morris.
Yeah.
Jimmy's like, what's going on here? Conan's like, I'm done. I'm out of here.
That was it.
Like that. This was it for the Dungeon of Doom. It was over. So our next match should have been on a Nitro, but what are you gonna do? Steve Mongo McMichael versus Reggie White.
Oh Lord Jesus!
Now
two guys that can't wrestle,
but they can play football worth a damn.
Well, yeah, I know, but two guys that.
Now here's the thing. I guess WCW doesn't do this often. In WWE, anytime you had a celebrity or an athlete get in the ring, they win. Case in point, worst match in history in WWE, Floyd Mayweather and Big Show. You would think that in WCW that the celebrity and or athlete would get the advantage over the wrestler, and I'm using that term loosely on Mongo, but they don't. It was totally opposite. Now, what's funny, what helped Reggie White is that Gilbert Brown eventually comes down to the ring to make sure nothing happens, no horseman interference, whatnot. Unfortunately, we're going to get that anyway. I don't know who taught Reggie how to wrestle, but you should fire them if they're an instructor, because it was
not his fault. It's not his fault.
I know it's not his fault.
It's the blind leading the blind. Usually in these matches, they're smart enough to put the non-wrestler with a good wrestler, so that way the good wrestler can guide that person and can mask all of the inexperience. But this is green versus green.
This should have been a tag team match, if anything.
Yeah,
like when you put Karl Malone with DDP,
right? Yeah,
Dennis Rodman with Hogan, or I'm gonna got Jay Leno. I don't even want to mention that, but this should have been a tag team match then,
right? Yeah.
And then these two guys could have gone at it. But yeah, like you said, this is green versus green. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, Reggie had the pin on him. Deborah distracts the referee. Mongo grabs the briefcase or Halliburton, whatever you want to call it. Gilbert stopped him at least the first time. Mongo tells the ref, "Oh, he's got it, whatever." Now Jarrett comes out of nowhere with another one, throws it to Mongo, and he hits Reggie with it and gets the pin. Now this is where I said you'd think an athlete or a celebrity would get the upper hand in this, but in this case they didn't, and it didn't even. I think this was where it was one and done. Reggie White didn't pursue further. At least I don't remember him doing it. But in any event, Mongo gets the victory over Reggie White. Now on to our main event, which I think was really good. It was the return of Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, which those two getting along on the team was just mind-boggling to me.
They're really good. They were really good friends in real life, though. A lot of people
Yeah.
didn't know that at the
No,
time.
yeah. You think the way they
Close
act
friends.
on camera,
Right, yeah.
you think they hated each other.
Yeah,
Oh
but
no,
no, they were
that's
very close friends. Yeah.
hmm Oh, they worked together for years, man. Even when Piper was in first in WCW around Starrcade '83.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know he was there
That's
then.
exactly. And Flair's coming off that shoulder surgery. He hadn't wrestled over 6 months, I believe. I think it
Yeah.
was more than 6 months he had been out with the shoulder surgery. So
And
he's
what
back.
better place to
Flair
have him
country.
back
Right.
than in Charlotte?
Charlotte. Flair country.
So you got Flair, you got Piper, and then they have Kevin Green, Carolina Panther.
Mhm.
They're teaming up to face Scott Hall,
See,
Kevin Nash, and Six.
that's how you mask a
Exactly.
celebrity non-wrestler.
You put them in a tag team
Put them in a
match.
tag team with other wrestlers.
And
Yeah,
especially
and-
veterans that can, like you said, can guide them.
Yeah. And you got the original Wolfpack, which is Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Six. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, the Outsiders are the tag champions, and Six is the cruiserweight. And I think at this time Hogan is the champion, right? At this time,
Yes.
Hogan's
I
the
believe
champion.
so.
Yeah. So they got basically all the belts.
They got the belts. Yes.
All the belts that matter. They have they don't have the U.S. title, right?
They'll get it.
Yeah.
Trust me, if they want it, they'll get it.
Yeah. So
They always got what they wanted. This match was great, especially the camaraderie, like we said, between Flair and Piper. Piper, he's selling the hip injury that they attacked him the week before, so he's bandaged up. It's funny when we see Six mocking Flair.
Yeah.
Of course,
I
Flair,
always felt
he chops him.
I always felt like they had real heat, man.
I thought so
like
too.
They had and I think that they did at this time.
Because Flair's looking at him like this little punk is coming in here and acting like a jackass and making fun of me.
I remember, Six used to cut promos on him and everything, but I felt like there was something really there. And if
especially the Horseman spot where he's pretending to be him.
Yeah. So it was well done.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah. I mean, for all we know, that kid pissed off a lot of people. He was like trying to be the Shawn Michaels of the group because he knew whatever he did, I've got my boys in me up.
This is back when he could still cut the mustard. A year later, he can't cut the mustard.
No, I don't
think Hogan said. Yeah. I used to hate that damn Bronco Buster. I used to get so pissed off when he used to do the Bronco Buster on people. It's like it's just like obnoxious.
And this one he did for a lengthy.
That's what I'm saying. It's like if I was in that position, I would be so angry. I would want to kick this guy around his nose.
So put your foot up when he's coming.
Yeah, So, but this was a good match. This was fun.
Yeah, Flair was just whooping the hell out of all of them. I mean, Piper was holding his own. Kevin Green is all hyped up in there.
Kevin Green's super athletic, man. I know he was an NFL player, but you could see his first of all, he was jacked. That's number one.
Yes.
You could see his athleticism jumping over the top rope to the outside, and it looked like he was having fun. It looked like he was like legitimately like.
Yeah, he was enjoying this.
Himself, yeah.
He's done quite a few pay-per-views with them. Anytime they're in that area,
yeah.
He used to do it with them, and he was great in every match.
I think he was on the Panthers at this point, wasn't he? He was on the Panthers?
Yeah, they were fresh off. I believe they had made the AFC title game.
So
I'm sorry, the NFC title game. I'm thinking of the Jaguars because both expansion teams have made it.
I remember. Yes, I remember that.
And I was rooting for both to make it.
Yeah. Well, that was cool. That was cool to see.
It didn't happen. Oh. But like we said, Flair's return to the ring. The crowd went nuts during this match. There was a point where Piper hits the referee. All 6 men are in the ring. Now here comes Nick Patrick, to everybody's surprise, because they were like, "Did they reinstate him? I mean, what's going on here?" And the first thing you think when you see Nick Patrick is, "Oh hell, here we go! Hall, Nash, and Six win the match."
Right. It looked like he was going to screw them over, but he almost did, because Flair had the figure 4 locked, and he's not ringing the bell. So all 3 of them had their opponents down, right?
Yeah,
it was all 3 of them that had their opponents down. All the baby faces had their opponents down, and he finally counted the He finally counts the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Scott Hall had gone for the outsider's edge on Flair. He reversed it into the figure 4 leg lock.
Which was actually pretty cool. I like the way he did it. Yeah.
Yes, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It looked like Flair was on fire in this match. It's like he was wrestling the match of his life.
Well, he was glad to be back. He hadn't wrestled in so long. Plus, he's in he's in Flair country, so
exactly. So he's going to put that extra adrenaline rush into it.
Yeah.
Piper puts the sleeper hold on Nash, which was fun, nice to see. And Green power slam 6. Hall's shoulders were down for the pin on the figure 4, so he gets Flair technically gets the pin on this one, not the submission. So Flair, Piper, and Green get a rare victory over the NWO, but it
Right.
was so nice to see.
Yeah, it was good to have the NWO lose, right? The WCW goes
For
over them.
once.
They were
And
celebrating.
it's clean.
Yeah, and Green says, "That's it, the NWO done." And I'm like, not quite.
Yeah, we got a few more years of that, Jack. Sorry. You didn't get the head honcho wasn't in this
Yeah, but
match.
it was good. It was good to see because the NWO was just destroying everybody. They got a little mundane for them. End up
Exactly.
so
Every
just
week it was just the
right,
same,
right. So
especially in the
this
pay-per-views. It
and
was good to see WCW get one over,
yeah,
especially
that was
Flair in Charlotte.
right, absolutely. So this pay-per-view, I mean, it was good. It was enjoyable. It had some good moments there.
It was better than the last one by far.
Well, that's really not saying much, but
I know.
no, the last one was okay. I think
The
it was the
Battle
one
Bowl.
before, which was the really bad one.
Well, we had Battle Bowl in '96. You had Savage and Hogan against Flair and Vader in '95.
Yeah, what was the
And
point
then
of the?
you had
Yeah,
Sting and Vader in
I'm
'93
sorry. I was thinking
or
95.
'94.
I
I'm
was
sorry.
thinking 95 was okay. 96 was a bit of a. What was the point of this?
Yeah,
Right.
90, and I believe '93 was Bulldog and Vader.
I mean, those are two legends in the business.
Yeah.
Well, overall, it was all right. I enjoyed it.
Now this puts an end to our Slamboree
Yeah,
thing. Now we'll be moving on to King of the Ring.
King of the Ring. So, you guys make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.